Number 3, your habits. What are your habits? What are your habits? Are you the person that hits the snooze button like 50 million times before you get up, and then next thing you know, it's 2 hours later, and then, oh my God, you get up, you get ready, you like half brush your teeth, and then you get ready, go to work, and then once you get to work, you're just frazzled because you had a crazy morning? Or are you somebody that as soon as you push the snooze button, you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Mel Robbins technique, and you just get up. And then you go work out. And then you go have a smoothie. And then you still have an hour before your day starts. You can meditate. You can go take a walk. You can do your visualization. You can listen to something positive, right? What are your habits? What does your day look like? What do you do in a whole day? Has anybody ever written this down before? If you have a planner, here's one of my challenges. If you have a planner, because the one that I have is every 30 minutes. So write down everything that you do in a day. Write it down. What are your habits? What time do you wake up in the morning? What do you do? How many phone calls do you make? How much do you work your business that day? Now, here's one of the ways that you can raise your standards by changing your habits. If you're used to doing a little bit, if you're used to doing like the bare minimum, okay? You gotta shock your body. You have to shock your body. Shock yourself, wake it up, change it up, okay? So let's say if you're used to hitting the snooze button 10 times before you wake up, okay? 10 times before you wake up. What you wanna do starting tomorrow, try it. Hit the snooze and just get up. Hit the snooze, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Get up. Just don't even think about it. You have 3 to 5 seconds until your mind is gonna try to talk you out of it, because your body's so comfortable in those like cloud-like blankets and your fluffy pillows and your goose feathers and all that stuff, okay? Mr. Thomas is laughing because he probably has a goose feather pillow, okay? But your body's so used to that. Shock it, wake it up. If you're used to eating, okay, have you ever tried a dessert and you just like completely fell in love with it? For me, cake is like my kryptonite, okay? Like my husband will tell you, cake and chocolate is like, you got me, okay? Just give me cake and I'm happy. You'd mess up with me, just give me cake, okay? Just not everybody start sending me cake like Gabriel Iglesias, please, okay? I ain't trying to get fluffy over here, all right? But have you ever just tried a dessert and you just want so much more? You just wanted so much more. What did it? It was that one bite, that first bite that did it. You got the spoon and you dug into that cake and it was so luscious and rich and all that chocolate and it had fudge in it. Oh my God. And you took that first bite and you were like, if this is what heaven feels like, take me down, right? But it was that first bite that did it. Give your body and give yourself that first bite of something new. Because once you try it and once you like it, you're gonna want more and more and more. Think about the cold showers that Julian talked about. Okay, Mr. Lewis talked about cold showers, and so many people started doing it that had never done it before. They started taking cold showers and they started texting him, and they're still texting him in the morning, and it's been months, right? But it's because you got that first taste that got you hooked. And now you love the way that it makes you feel. You love the way that as soon as you get into the cold water, you can't breathe and you feel like you're hyperventilating when the cold water hits your body, and you like put your toe in and you're like, oh, it's too cold. And then you put your leg in, and then you put your hand in, then you put your arm in, and then you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And then you just jump in. And it's like the best thing to get yourself invigorated, because you did it once and you gave yourself that taste, and now you want it more and more. So one of the ways to raise your standards is to give yourself a taste of something more. Do you know what it feels like to make 25 phone calls in a day? Do you know what it feels like to message 50 people in a day? What does it feel like to go make 10 new friends in a day? What does that feel like? Going in, my thing, I compliment people. I don't care if I'm gonna like move it forward or not. If I like something you're wearing or your smile or your personality, I'm gonna let you know. But do you know how that makes you feel? Try complimenting 10 people without expecting anything in return. Give yourself something different. Give yourself a taste of something on the higher shelf, and I promise you, you're not gonna want anything that they have for sale on the bottom anymore. Okay, Mr. Thomas is always talking about top shelf. Why? It's better. It's smoother. It's better. But once you get the taste, you're going to want more of it. All right, number 4, your identity. This one is a big one. Your identity. Here's the good news. You can create yourself. Here's the not so good news. You've been letting other people create you up until this point. Maybe not everybody, but there's a lot of influence. And so one of my mentors, we were talking about just random topics, right? Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What are your views on this? Where do you stand on this? And Julian knows too, on, if we're on Clubhouse or something, it's like these topics come up and they just ask these questions and you're like, I never really thought about that. Like if somebody asked you, what's your point on just something, anything, pick anything. You're like, I haven't really thought about that. I don't know. Have you ever took the time to think about the views and the beliefs that you have right now are not yours? Think about it. Okay, some people are going to understand this right here. When your mom used tinfoil, okay, and it was not super, super greasy or super, super dirty, Marie, you know what I'm talking about. What did she do? She folded it up nicely, straightened it out. We gonna use this later. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about. We're gonna use this later, okay? Now, what do? If there's a piece of foil, Fetty does it, look, he's clapping. What do? If there's a piece of foil and it's not super greasy, not super dirty, you save it. Why are you gonna waste foil? It's perfectly good foil, right? What about a pot of grease? If you fry something in it and it ain't that dirty and there's not that many like leftover crumbs in there, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put it in the oven, right? Because we don't use the oven. It's just to keep pots and pans in, right? We're gonna put it in there. We're gonna use it later. What do? Finish these quotes, okay? Money doesn't grow on trees. Save your money for a rainy day. Where did those beliefs and thoughts come from? They're not yours. You should always just save your money, right? Money is evil. No, it's not. Money is a piece of paper. It don't have no feelings. It's a tool. I keep this on my desk. So this is a million. Okay, I keep it on my desk. This is a piece of paper. But you know what this represents? This is a tool. This is a vehicle to do whatever you want in your life. This is a tool to use to not be in debt anymore, to not be stressed out anymore, to not worry about where your groceries are going to come from, to not worry about, I have to get an oil change that costs $50 and I don't have the money to do it. And you got to pray to God that you're going to make it to work every single day. And God forbid you bust a tire because that's another, $50 to $75? This is a tool. It's a piece of paper. This can't be evil. Now, the people that use it, different story. But where did that belief come from for you, that money is evil? The love of money is evil. I don't love the money. I love what it's going to give me. What is the money going to give you? What's on your dream board? What do you want out of life? What car do you want to drive? What house do you want to live in? Who do you want to help? Because let me tell you something. You can't buy groceries without money. You want to go feed some people? You want to feed people that are less fortunate? Mr. Thomas does that at the church. Somebody has to pay for the food. It's not going to just fall out of the sky. Somebody still has to buy it. Money isn't everything, but everything takes money. It's a tool. It's a tool. So everyone right now, I'm gonna tell you a little bit on how to recreate your identity, okay? Because just like you saw, you have a lot of beliefs that your parents gave you and, all of that. Okay, I could go on and on, but I think that's good enough for right now to prove my point. So nobody can tell you who to be. Not anymore. This is your life. You need to think about it. You need to do what's best for you. You need to think about, what am I going to do with the money that I make? Okay? Now, everyone right now, if you're taking notes, if you're writing things down, if I asked you the best version of yourself, best version of you, And I said, write down their 5 main qualities. The best version. When you close your eyes, this is the person that you aspire to be. This is the person you see like, that's what I'm gonna be dressing like. You ever see somebody and they look like they're just so put together and they're just so confident and they got those Louis Vuittons on, you know, they're like just strutting down the road. And you're like, I'm gonna look like that one day. What does that best version of yourself look like? 5 characteristics, write them down right now, go. Okay, time's up. If you haven't thought about it, you can finish it later. Now, give me some of them in the chat. What are some of the qualities that the ideal self that you see in your head has? What are some of those qualities? Is it posture? Is it confidence? Is it motivated, dependable? Now, every single day when you wake up, I want you to think about these 5 qualities. It doesn't have to be more. You could even start with 3, okay? With these 5 qualities, every single day that you wake up, I want you to imagine your best self. Visualize your best self. It can literally set a timer for 30 seconds if you're just starting out or you say you don't have time or whatever, 30 seconds to a minute. Visualize your best self. What are you wearing? How are you acting? How are you speaking? What do you eat? Do you work out? Are you healthy? All of those things. And show up as that person. And if you think about it, you're not that far off right now from that person that you want to be. I remember when we were sorting you in the business, so I think it was our first year. And Mr. Thomas was over at our house and we're sitting on the dining table and I asked him a question and I said, how do you stay so focused? Like you have all of these things to do. You have, multiple companies, like all of this stuff. How do you just focus? Like, how do you know if something is for you or something's not for you? And he said something that literally changed my life after that. He said, if it aligns with my goal and my purpose and it gets me towards my goal, then it stays. But if it doesn't get me towards my goal and it's taking me away from it, it's out. It's such a simple statement, but a lot of people have such a hard time being decisive. So many people are indecisive. And you guys know when I'm talking to you, it's like things that I need to hear too, okay? So there's people, all right? Indecision is a killer. That's like having your car in neutral all the time on the freeway, expecting nobody to hit you, expecting your car to move forward. It's not gonna happen. Either you're out or either you're in. If you're in the middle, that you're not gonna go anywhere. You're not gonna get anywhere. So look, if one of your goals is trying to lose weight, are you gonna sit there and eat milk and Oreos as a midnight snack? No, ask yourself, is this moving me towards my goal or away from my goal? Oh, away? Okay, I won't do it. I wanna be healthy. I'm gonna go on a walk. Is this moving me towards my goal or away from my goal, right? If your goal is to go regional director, you're gonna say, I'm gonna make 10 phone calls today. Is that moving me towards my goal or away from my goal? Done, decision made. It's that simple. But what do people do? We complicate stuff. You need to ask yourself that question. I'm telling you, when he told me this, it changed my life because it changed every single decision. The way that I made every single decision in my life changed from that point forward. If it's moving you closer, do it. If it's not, it's out. That's it. Point blank, period, no more questions. Have you noticed that we've heard Mr. Thomas say this too? Throughout this whole time, this like year and a half, have you noticed that there's just some people that have just lost their ambition? They've just lost their ambition. They're just kind of like floating through life. They're like, I'm just going with the flow. But let me tell you something. Only dead fish go with the flow. And I was listening to a podcast and I heard somebody say that there's so many people that are labeled with depression. They're labeled being depressed. The average American has 7 to 8 prescription drugs in their possession at any given time. And there's so many people, they're just labeled depressed. So what does the word depression mean? Put it in the chat. What is that word? It's just such a like downer word too, but what does it mean? What really is it? And that person said, it's not depression, it's disappointment. And I said, oh my God. I'm going to say that again. He said, it's not depression, it's disappointment. Because you're disappointed with where you're at in an area of your life. It's a certain level of disappointment. I'm not there yet. I'm not here yet. I'm not making this yet. I don't look like that yet. But notice I put the word yet at the end of it. But it's just a level of disappointment with where you're at in your life. Because you thought that you would be somewhere else. You thought that you would look like something else. You thought that you would walk like something else. You thought that you would talk like something else. You thought you'd be living somewhere else by now. You thought you'd be driving something else by now. So that comparison and that disappointment is what puts people back. So instead of giving yourself that label, oh, I'm depressed. No, you're just disappointed in yourself. But how do you change that? By raising your standards. You raise your standards. If you're disappointed with where you're at, just raise your standards. I was talking to one of my friends that's going through that label, okay, through depression, and wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping. He's like, I need a therapist. I just have no ambition in life. And like a bunch of stuff happened, but everybody's perception of things that are bad is just different. Okay, let me tell you, like this person has everything going for them. Okay. And it's not like as bad as other people's situations are, but to that person, it's pretty bad. Okay. So I sat with them and I said, let me ask you a question. So we talked and like I talked about all this stuff. And I said, if I asked you by the end of this year, you have 6 months. I don't even want you to think about next year. You have 6 months. Where do you want to be? Because let me tell you something, 6 months ago was New Year's and you said you were going to be somewhere and you're not there yet. Some of you might be, but majority of people aren't there yet, right? Because we're still figuring things out. Things are still changing, all of that stuff. So I said in 6 months, if I asked you to set one goal, okay? One goal. What's one thing if you did in life, you would feel fulfilled? And his first answer was, I don't even know what makes me happy anymore. And I was about to slap him upside the head, but I didn't. Okay, I didn't because I know how that feels. So I said, okay, is it going to be doing something for yourself? Is it going to be doing something for your family? Do you want to buy your parents a new house? Do you want to travel somewhere with them? And he smiled. I did not see him smile the whole hour we were there. He smiles and he says, well, I've always wanted to take my family on a trip to Thailand. And I said, okay, so I tried not to be like as excited, right? But I was like, okay, so that's a goal, right? That's a goal. So let me ask you this. How much have you actually planned that trip? So if you could go there in December, would that make you happy? And he said, yeah, that'd make me happy. And I said, okay, we're getting somewhere, right? So as I'm going through the story, I want you guys to pick a place or pick a goal, okay? As I'm saying the story, do the steps, okay? So I asked him, I said, okay, so you haven't planned the trip at all, right? So have you looked at tickets? And he said, no. I said, okay, pull up your phone right now, look at tickets. He looked at tickets. We saw how much it cost. We wrote it down, okay? Then I said, okay, now look at a hotel. Do you know where you want to stay? Well, there's this villa over there and there's like 10 rooms and like all this stuff and it has a view of like everything. And I said, okay, do you know how much it costs? And he said, yeah, okay, we wrote it down. And then what I did, I took a screenshot of that place in Thailand and I made that his screensaver on his phone, okay? So then what I helped him do is reverse engineer the goal. Say, okay, you want to take your whole family to Thailand? How many people you got? Okay, how much do tickets cost? Where are you going to stay? How much is food going to cost? All of that stuff. And let me tell you, this trip was over 30 grand because there's like 20 people going, okay? But I said, okay, now how much do you need to make by the end of the year in order to make that happen? And we wrote down an amount. And then I said, okay, so currently what you're doing, broke down the numbers, did all of that. And when I tell you that he couldn't stop smiling after that, he kept looking at his phone. He kept, you know the iPhone, you just tap it and the screen comes on? He kept tapping it and he'd be like, he was smiling. And this guy, he was like, I don't know, man, I don't know. And then now he couldn't stop tapping his phone because he had something to look forward to. If you have a dream board, how often are you looking at your dream board? How often are you thinking about the life that you want? How often do you visualize it? How often do you feel it? How often do you think about how less stressed you're going to be when you have the money that you want? When you think a thought, do you believe it? And you know that when you believe something, all the little factory workers in your head go to work to make it come true because your brain has to prove that you're right, no matter if it's negative or if it's positive. You can't have the prize without the process. You can't have the diamonds without the cuts. You can't have the dreams without the sacrifices. And you can't win the war against the world if you can't even win it against your own mind. You have to strengthen your mind. 6 months from now, you can be in a totally different place, but are you willing to be? That's the question.
Let's show some love. This was a blessing, scaling.
What's up? It's your girl Tasha Q. Thanks so much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, do all the things that there is to do, and share this video with someone that you think needs to hear the message. And remember, for daily inspiration, make sure you're following It's Tasha Q on Instagram. We'll see you in the next video.